Welcome to the Helm Charts chat for Tuesday, March 19th, 2019. Let's go ahead and pull the agenda up. We have a slim agenda, so we'll see how much it is today. The first item we have on the agenda is, looks like somebody's brought in here a pull request to the charts repo, 11,360. Is somebody here who wanted to talk about that?
Yes.
All right. Hello, welcome.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So this is a very complex pull request, which is for a case that we're working with GitLab, which has a very complex chart. It's the aim of this pull request is to cover a use case where you have a chart with several subcharts which depend on a sibling subchart as well. So we created a pull request, and one of the maintainers said that this should be brought up in this chat, so we could discuss whether it's the best way to cover this kind of use cases. I don't know, maybe someone for GitLab will join the conversation, but I'm not sure if he made it in the end. So I would like to discuss this, to bring it up here. Basically, what you can see is the case where we have Postgres and we have a set of subcharts that depend on Postgres SQL. So in the end, the way that we have different ways of dealing with how to pass the credentials for all the subcharts, to use either a global set of parameters or having to specify all the parameters in each of the subcharts, which in the case of, for example, GitLab, it's a lot of subcharts. So in the end, they have some user experience when trying to deploy a chart, because they will have to set it in several subparameters of the subcharts. So that's why it's a bit complex. So I'd love to answer any questions that you may have or discuss anything that you consider.
So I personally haven't had a chance to review this yet. I know we'll need to loop in the Bitnami folks because they are the maintainers of it, and I don't think any of them are on the line today.
Yeah, actually I'm from Bitnami. It's me.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So yes, so that's why we've been working with GitLab to try to integrate the stable Postgres chart in their current chart. They're using a very old version, and we're working to have the latest one, and they have these requirements at the moment to be able to easily specify a way to set the credentials for all of their subcharts. If necessary, I can also point to the GitLab merge request where we're discussing this as well, if that will be helpful. Just a sec. Here as well. Let me put in the chat. So this is the original merge request in which we created the other pull request, basically, in case you want more context.
Okay.
The main issue here is the use of global parameters, how to use global parameters, and if it's the way to, for example, cover this kind of use cases. That's the main issue here.
Yeah, for some, hi, I'm DJ from the distribution team at GitLab. For some background on how we're currently doing it, we currently, in all these subcharts that we've created, we do use a global connection string for Postgres to avoid having to respecify it for each subchart. It's only the case that when we're now bringing in or updating the Postgres chart, in the past we've had to fork it a bit in order to do the same sort of thing, so we don't have to additionally specify it for Postgres, that we can use that same sort of input information for Postgres that we've specified in the globals. So it looks like this update in the stable Postgres chart is just to open it up so we don't have to fork it to do kind of the same thing.
I think in theory, I personally don't see a problem with it. But then again, I haven't done a thorough review. Just seeing it here is the first time, and so I haven't had time to think about it. I don't necessarily see a real problem with it.
The question is that also that if this kind of approach has been already done in other charts. I don't know if other charts try to cover this kind of use cases in the past. So we get to a more or less standardized way to deal with this.
There has been some talk of other charts doing this. The one that probably is the most complicated has been the OpenStack ones, because installing OpenStack into Kubernetes is a whole big dependency mess of passing credentials around. And they use some features in Helm version 2 that I think only they use. And they're incredibly complicated. In Helm version 3, we're actually looking to unwind some of that and probably reintroduce that with Lua. So the logic for this stuff doesn't have to live inside of Helm for all of these complicated cases, but can be scripted that way. But I don't see a problem with it here. They're probably the most complicated use case for handling this, because when you've got complicated systems, sometimes you got to pass these things around. I have to spend some more time on it. Reinhard, I see you just joined. To bring it up to speed, we are actually talking about the first item in the agenda, which is, I'll drop the link in. It's an update to the Postgres chart around how can you pass in credentials from the outside. Their specific case actually has to do with GitLab and passing credentials in.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to review this one. 1100-360 is the pull request ID. I don't see a problem offhand, but again, I'll have to take a little time to think about this one, and I'll try to review it later today.
Okay, thanks.
Has Adnan had a look at this one yet?
With this, not publicly, but I've talked. I had conversations with him, and in principle, he agrees that this could be an option. But I can ping him so he can also say his opinion publicly in the pull request as well.
Sure, or he can even review it too.
Yeah.
So. Okay, no, thanks. I'm outside of the OpenStack stuff, which I haven't looked at in quite some time. I'm actually not familiar with people doing this.
Okay. So I think we leave it as you will take a look. I will also ping Adnan, and then we can continue discussing the pull request, I suppose.
Yeah, and if you don't hear back from somebody, get a review and feedback on it by, say, tomorrow this time, feel free to bug me or somebody else.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Is there anything else on this one we wanted to talk about?
No.
All right. Then the other thing that we had on the agenda and that I added was the Helm Hub. We're using a slightly older version of Monocular, and it has to do with the version of the Nginx Ingress we're using. They changed the way they do rewrites, and it's caused us some problems. So one of the things that we're going to be doing here, and we might even have a slight outage window in the next week, is for the Helm Hub, is we have to go through and upgrade Nginx Ingress and the Helm Hub and anything else we're running in that cluster that's using Nginx Ingress to make sure everything works together smoothly. I can take it on, but if somebody else, one of the other maintainers, wants to help me with it, that would be appreciated as well. That's the other thing. And since I put the note in here, I kind of dug around and found out more about the issue. That was the only other thing. Is there anything else anybody wanted to talk about? All right. Sounds like it could be a short meeting since we don't have anything else. Thanks, folks. Have a wonderful week.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.